Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Beer Leaguer Podcast. This episode, all about what do you do if you wind up not liking your beer league team. So you've been playing with a team for maybe a couple of months, maybe a couple of years, and you're just not having fun with it anymore. What do you do? What's the process you go through to figure out what the next steps are in this? Or are you destined to wind up playing adult recreational hockey sports with a bunch of guys you don't like and not having a good time with? No, you're definitely not. Beer league is supposed to be fun. You should be having a good time. So if you're not having a good time, take a step back and try and assess what it is that you don't like. There's only a couple of things that it could be, and each one of those kind of means a different resolution for what you should do. So first thing to look at and see, are you just not having fun because you're just not enjoying playing hockey anymore? Do you need some time away? Do you have life circumstances, things that have changed recently that just require you to spend too much time doing other stuff, and hockey's, kind of gone down your list of priorities and it's just not as much fun as it used to be right now? Doesn't mean you can't go back to playing hockey, but maybe it means right now isn't the best time to be playing hockey. It's a thing that happens. In beer league especially, you have guys that, change jobs, have different schedules now, get married, have kids, all kinds of stuff like that are huge life changes, and maybe you need to take the rest of the season off or skip a year or something like that for beer league. Nothing wrong with doing that. But I will say a big caveat with this of saying nothing wrong with doing that. Let your team know, or at least let your captain know. If you're thinking, hey, I think I need to take a year off, maybe you want to step back and just be, a reserve player or something like that for a year, and afterwards you're planning on coming back. Just let them know. That's all. And don't do it last minute. That's the best thing. If you're thinking about it now and you're, probably most beer leagues, when this episode comes out, most beer leagues are kind of nearing the end of their winter schedule or 3/4 of the way through it. Now would be the time to say something. Don't wait until a week before the season starts to tell them. That's a jerk move. But if you let them know now and kind of talk through it, let them know that, hey, you might need to step back a little bit. That's the best thing you can do for that. If you realize that it's just you and it's something with you and, your schedule, like I said, any kind of life changes with it. The next thing that it could possibly be, if you're just not enjoying beer league anymore, is your team. Has your team changed a lot? You've heard Mason come on to these episodes a lot talking about, what makes a good locker room. You heard Mike from Beers on Ice talking about the same thing, good locker room stuff. Maybe your team has kind of changed dynamic recently, and it's just not the same that it used to be. Maybe the team takes it way more seriously than you do, or way less seriously than you do, or maybe they're just a very different group of guys than what you're used to. And the team is just different. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with you saying, hey, don't think this team is for me, and you want to find another team. I don't see why anybody would be upset with you for that, or why any team would care about that if you were doing that. Again, same caveat I gave before, as long as you're giving your current team ample time to find replacement. But the bonus is, if you've been playing in beer league already, people that are in beer league. Hopefully you've met a couple people outside of just your team, and you can tell them, hey, you're looking for another team that, whatever, like I said, maybe takes it less seriously, takes it more seriously. You want a team that hangs out more, or a team that hangs out less because your current team's gotten to be very cliquey, or something like that. This is the time to talk to those people. Use these contacts you've made that, you play against or you see play around you and you've talked to, and talk to these other teams, and see what they do. And this is really a time to figure out what you liked or what you wish was happening with your current situation and what's not happening, and make sure you kind of talk to people that are on a team you're going to and see if that's what they do. If you're playing on a team, you've gotten some different guys on it recently, They take it way too seriously for you. You're just trying to have a good time. Once a week, get out, get a little exercise, and hang out with the boys. And these guys are very much a, win at all costs. And they're like drawing up plays for everything and just taking it way, way, way more seriously than you want to. Make sure the team that you're going to is more what you're looking for and not more of the same. You don't want to go to another team that's taking it super seriously as well then, because you're not going to have fun with it. So, everybody's an adult. It's beer league. It's adult hockey. You can ask people. You can talk to people. You don't have to be afraid of it. But that's again not a big deal. That's what I say with all. I'm going to say with all these things. None of it is a huge deal to move on to a new team. People do it a lot. I mean, some teams stick together for years and years and years. Some teams, every 3-4 years, they're like a whole different team of people. It's just how it goes. Just how it goes. So don't be afraid to bring this up and talk to people and kind of see what they do, what they like, and what they don't like with their current teams that they're on. Whatever, if it's at your level and you want to go up, want to go down, whatever, talk to the different people out there. This is why it's important to kind of get to know people outside of your team, people that are in your league outside of your team, and talk to them and be friendly with them, so you can have these conversations and hopefully find a team that you're going to enjoy playing with more. The next reason that you might not be liking your beer league team or having fun playing beer league anymore is you're not at the right level. This is a pretty common one, as people, like if you've just joined recently or people that have been around for a long time, kind of at both ends of the spectrum. This is something that you go through, of either you just joined and you wanted to play with a buddy, so you're either playing a little too high so you're not having fun, or maybe you're playing too low to play with somebody that's a friend of yours that's very beginner, and it's not fun for you because it's not a challenge. At the other end of the spectrum, you're someone that's been around playing hockey for a long time, and hey, maybe you've slowed down a little bit, and you just don't want to be trying to chase around a bunch of kids anymore. That's not as much fun as it used to be. I see nothing, and I've never heard anybody complain for someone that goes, hey, I kind of feel like I should be playing up or down a division or two, because of how you're playing right now and how much fun it is for it. That requires a lot of self-reflection on your part to really decide if that's what it is. And there's a big difference between you want to play at what you feel is an appropriate level and not, hey, I'm not putting up enough points, I want to drop down a level or two so I can put up points. That's a jerk move. Don't be a jerk. But if you're like, hey, I can't keep up with any of these guys, they're all like just blowing by me and I feel like a pylon out there, I want to drop down a level so maybe I can touch the puck once in a while and contribute to the team. That's not being a jerk. That's a very valid reason to drop down. So be honest with yourself. It's tough to do that. It's tough to be honest about these sorts of things. This is something where talking to teammates, talking to people on other teams really can probably give you a better evaluation of where your skills are at versus what you think they are. Or also doing the dreaded thing that I know a lot of people don't like to do, watching yourself play, watching a video of yourself in one or two games and seeing how you stack up with everybody. It sucks to sometimes see that if you haven't watched yourself before, but it really can give you a pretty honest view of where you sit and if you should be in a different division than what you're at, a different level with guys. And maybe there's one or two guys on your team that are in the same boat. And it's not just you moving. Maybe it's a couple of you guys move up or move down. Or I know in my league, you'll see happen where it's kind of a team split. You have a team that's in whatever division that they're in, and they're adding more and more guys every year, trying to get better in the division. And eventually you wind up with this split of guys that are, half the team is maybe kind of, appropriate where they're at, and the other half should drop down, or, half of it should move up and the other half should stay where they're at. And like I said, in my league, that's a somewhat common thing to have happen every couple of years. It's not weird for that to happen. So maybe it's not just you. Maybe it's a group of guys on your team are thinking that. So doing something like that, if you don't want to completely just go off on your own and you split with a couple of guys to go somewhere, that's a good way to get to what could be more fun hockey. Because fun hockey is competitive hockey. Non-competitive hockey, that's not fun. That's not fun for anybody. If you're playing way too low or way too high, that's just not good times. And if it is something like that where it's not just you, then hey, you've already got a start of a team going. Or maybe there's another team that's doing something similar and you can kind of swap around with them. Or maybe another team is doing a similar thing and you go, hey, we've got 4 guys. You've got 5 guys. Okay, we've got, almost a full squad of guys to put this team together that's more appropriate for all of us. Again, like I said before, this is the kind of thing that requires a little self-evaluation. All these things do. And it requires you to talk to people this time on your team and hopefully know some people outside of your team to also see what they think about it. And see if there are those guys that would want to play in some form in an upper or lower division than what you're playing at now. So that's kind of the key to all these things. Like I said, I'm going to keep repeating it, is a little self-reflection. That means don't do this right after a game, usually, or right after the season ends or something like that. Don't make any rash decisions. And make sure, again, you're not doing this just because, hey, I want to put up more points. I'm not doing that enough. Again, that's a jerk move. Don't be a jerk. Another reason that you might just not be having fun playing beer league is your league. This is kind of the hardest one to do anything about, but it might just be your league. Some leagues are, like very small 1 night a week leagues somewhere, and there's not much you can do about the level of competition because it's all over the place. And, there's not a whole lot of movement to go around. It might be one level throughout and every team is extremely varied. Or, hey, we've got one team of guys that are all, really good and played like semi-pro. And then another team of people that, well, they're pretty much beginners that none of them really skated until, 3 years ago. And then in the middle, you have teams that have a mixture of both of those things. And, that might not be fun for you. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot you can do necessarily in a league to fix that. Maybe you could try taking over the league and offering some sort of way to, mix up and create divisions or fix divisions or something like that. But that is a very large undertaking usually, and probably not something that is worth the headache for it. But that, things like that is when it's maybe time to look at playing somewhere else. Maybe try and find another, 1 night a week league that you can find somewhere. Maybe try and find a larger league that you can play in that's not just at one rink, if there are any around you. This is also where you can start looking at things of, and I've seen people do this, of completely stopping playing regular league hockey and getting into, just going to pickup nights, getting into like a couple good pickup games that there are and things like that. And they find that to be a lot more fun than playing in a regular league that they have. Around me, and I think around most places where there's a decent scene of beer league hockey, there's usually like over 50 leagues or even over 40 leagues, and leagues for like, there's almost always like a policeman and firefighter league that, if you're one of those, get into something like that. A lot of times there's like some kind of, if you have a pretty good high school hockey scene around you, there might be like some alumni leagues for local high school, former players that played, if that's something you'd be interested in or something like that. So it might be time to kind of switch your league. You can't really do a whole lot to fix your league usually, unless you want to take on a whole lot of responsibility, which might be more headache than it's worth just for playing. But maybe you can switch something. If you play in a larger league, maybe look for, a single league like that. Like just, hey, it's a Sunday night league at this rink and that's it. Or like I said, I know a lot of guys that just kind of decide they don't like the competitive nature of stuff. They don't really like where they were playing and just switch to, they play regularly at an organized pickup that goes on. And a lot of times these organized pickups turn into almost like a league, because a lot of times they'll have the same guys showing up every week, and your teams are, even if you mix them up, it's pretty similar. If you have, say, 20 guys every week come into a pickup and it's the same 16, 17 guys every week, after a while you kind of get used to it, and it is very much like a league already that you have. But, a lot of times that can be a lot more fun, a lot more casual, and a very different vibe than a competitive league night. So that might be something, to be interested to check out and see if that's something that you prefer doing versus, playing in a regular organized league that, can play multiple nights a week or something like that. Okay, so to summarize, if you're just not liking playing hockey anymore and you're trying to figure out what to do, how do you get your love back for playing in beer league? Different things to look at. One, look at yourself. Make sure it's not life changes or situation changes that you've had that maybe you shouldn't be playing right now. Maybe you should scale it back to something. Maybe you're playing on too many teams and you should be playing on less teams. Or you shouldn't be playing as many games as you are, or something like that. If it's something from you, easy to control. Maybe it's something with your team. Hey, look for a new team. Like I said, find different teams to play on, in different divisions. Move up or move down to what you think is appropriate for yourself. Maybe it's a group of guys do something like that and find a more appropriate place to play. Maybe it's your league. Can't always fix your league, can't fix everything, but maybe find something else to play in. Maybe it's a different league, maybe, a different league at a different rink, something like that. Maybe it is not an organized league at all anymore. Maybe you're just playing pickup games regularly. Or maybe it goes from playing in a regular league to just like, hey, I play in the Sunday night over 50 league or something like that. And that is a lot more fun for you and you have a good time with it. So there's different things to look at. And all of them kind of have the common theme of you have to be able to step back, look at yourself, and really evaluate what it is that you're not liking about it, and that you do want to continue playing beer league hockey. And it's not just, hey, you're not liking it hockey anymore. That it's something that you can change. And if you want to take a large step back, a little side step to something else, or a big step back, and see which one of those it is. And also talking to other people. Get, outside voices to see what they think, where they think you should be, what you should be doing, what you're not doing, what they think you might like doing more, and kind of see, where you go from there. Like we bring up all the time on these shows, a big thing is, it's all about having fun. It's all about making pals, having buddies that you play hockey with, and getting to do fun stuff with them. If you enjoy hanging out in the locker room and drinking beers after the game and nobody else does, and you're bummed out, fine guys like to do that. If you're all about getting out there and you want to figure out with your team, okay, here's who's, running power play 1, and we're doing, an umbrella formation, and on penalty kill 2, I'll play on that, and we're going to do, a diamond defense structure. If that's what you want to do, find guys that are into that. There's probably people around that would enjoy doing that with you. As long as you can do that, look for them. But this requires you to talk to other people that play hockey, talk to, your teammates, people on other teams, people all over with hockey. This is one of the great things about the beer league community is people that play in beer league love to talk about hockey. They really, really do. Almost all of us that are playing beer league hockey is because we are big hockey nerds and love to talk about stuff like this, and help evaluate where we think you should play and what we think you'd be good at. So open up the dialogue, talk to people, get some advice from other people on where they think you should or shouldn't be, and go from there. That's all it takes. All right, everybody, I hope that this episode helped at least one of you out there to figure out how to bring back the love of beer league into your life. As I end every episode with, I say, please, on whatever platform you're listening to this on, give a like, give a subscribe. Send these episodes off to, a teammate that you think this might be useful for. Tell them. It's a very subtle way to maybe tell somebody that they should look for a new team. Send them this and go, hey, have you heard this before? Hint, hint. All right, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.